Found something I wanted to show you guys. Check out these headlights. I really should get these things installed one of these days. Next day, looks like Moose is as eager to get out in the shop as I am. All right, where we left off, I think I mentioned I was having a bit of a bolt dilemma because, turn some lights on here, I ordered the wrong ones from Summit. They said Chevy small block, but I guess if I read further, that meant, I never really heard a LS referred to as small block, but it was LS1. So they're metric instead of standard or whatnot. What I did do after that is I spent like an hour digging through my little bolt stash here. What's that song? I can never seem to find what I'm looking for. Yeah, that's the case when I go to the old bolt bin. And I've always been told not to reuse the pressure plate bolts, but I did a little Google research and plenty of people say they reuse them. So I found the ones that were actually in this car, I found them, and they were kind of, let's see, where'd they go? I put them back in the bag. I think I had like 4 like pressure plate bolts and 2 just other bolts. The pressure plate bolts all have like a little shoulder on them. So I didn't want to reuse those because 2 of them weren't even right. But I found these ones, these are ARP pressure plate bolts that I put in the 57 for just a very short time because I got it running and I got some bad teeth on the flywheel, so it wouldn't start because the starter would hang up on those spots and just spin. So I had to take it all apart, replace the flywheel. At the time I did that, same thing I read, not to reuse the pressure plate bolts. So I got new ones. I put those ARP bolts in there and then I ran it just a little bit and then the clutch burned up, or I burned the clutch up because I did a burnout like in 3rd gear instead of 1st gear. So I thought I was burning the tires, smoking the tires, and I was smoking the clutch. So don't do that. So then I had to take it all back apart again. Again, I bought new pressure plate bolts. So these, I mean, they've been torqued, but they weren't in the car for 35 years or nothing. I'm just gonna reuse them. Plenty of people say you can reuse them. Well, it's like anything else. Plenty of people say I would never reuse them. It's cheap insurance, and plenty of people say I've been reusing them for years and never had any problems. So I'm gonna go with reuse these pressure plate bolts and put this thing together. Moose, I'm trying to get some work done here. You need to give a guy a little space. What are you doing? This is just a quick reminder that even with the record-setting inflation we're experiencing, likes are still free. It's the best deal on the internet. Go ahead and hit the button. Thanks. All right, got them all started. Do a little torquey action and make sure I get them all pretty even as I go. I don't know, just using an extension screw up the torque reading? That'll be close enough, I'm sure. Looks like I need the big screwdriver again. All right, Ram clutches says 35 foot-pounds, or is it foot-pounds or pounds-foot? Foot-pounds, I think. And then ARP says 45 for their bolts, so since I'm using ARP bolts, I'm gonna go to 45. So that was once around at 35. Then I'll get them just a bit, touch more. All right, I'll torque to 45. See if we can get this bad boy out of here. And hopefully that's all lined up to go back together. So far, so good. All right, possibly another issue. Here's my old throwout bearing, and here's my new throwout bearing. So obviously this one is longer, I guess you would say. I'm just gonna put this together like this. I know there's some adjustments you can make, and it's all coming back apart for a new bell housing. So if it's not right, we'll figure it out then. I guess. Got the pressure plate all on, got my bell housing and throwout bearing and clutch fork all ready to go. And I was gonna put it on, but I decided I think I'm gonna I got that new starter, I'm gonna throw that on so I can measure it and shim it and everything. First thing I gotta do is chase the starter bolt holes. Stuck the starter up there once, pulled the gear out, it looks like it's gonna mesh okay. There's one other shim that comes in here. It didn't seem like I was getting enough engagement into the gear, so it says to take that shim out. So I've done that. And then the other thing it says to do is make sure you have bare metal where the starter mounts. So I assume that's so it gets a good ground. And I, of course, have a nice thick layer of orange paint right there, so I'm trying to make myself some room where I can see what I'm doing. And we'll buzz this paint off right where the starter mount is. All right, there we go, bare metal. Where to put the starter? Way over here where I can't reach it. Perfect. These little Allen-headed sockets that are pretty handy for stuff like this. Because obviously I got Allen-headed bolts. Otherwise I wouldn't need that. Where's the hole at? Maybe in the wrong one. There we go. I gotta put it in the right hole. Get your mind out of the gutters, people. Okay, now we got it tight. We'll try to double check the engagement. Losing stuff again. Should have a pair of channel locks somewhere in this general area that I just used 5 minutes ago. I'll use these ones that are right here in front of me. Jams itself in there. So we're getting almost 3/4 on the ring gear. We've got room to get the little paper clip in there. So I think I'm going to call that a win. That is, I'm actually going to go grab the battery charger. We'll hook a little juice to it and see what happens. All right, move you guys over to this side so you can see the starter a little bit. I got the battery charger partially hooked up. I had to go over to the other garage and grab the battery charger because it was in there because I've been having battery issues with the wife's Trailblazer. When all your vehicles are junk, you got to make sure you got a good battery charger. Well, all my vehicles aren't junk. I have a 2020 GMC pickup truck. You wouldn't think that'd be junk, but I wouldn't know because I haven't been able to drive it for a month because the def tank or something's going bad. It's under warranty to get it fixed, but they can't get the part. It took 3 weeks to get into the dealership so they could look at it, just to tell me that it's going to take like 3 more weeks to get the part so they can fix it. In the meantime, my truck's in limp mode and I can't even drive the damn thing, so that's handy. Back to our problem at hand. I have the battery charger turned on. It says to check your clearances and stuff just to hook up to the ignition terminal. So I don't know if it's gonna spin or just pop out. Should just have to ground it and something's gonna happen. Yeah, so like I say, I don't like the way it hangs up, but I think maybe that's because it's not spinning. So to make it spin, let's redo this. We have power to battery and ignition. Well, I hope it's going to turn over faster than that. 40 amp. Huh, that don't seem very good. Well, I've double checked the shimming and the engagement and all that stuff on the starter, and I think all that stuff is right. It just barely turns it over. 12 volts from the battery charger should be just as good or even better than 12 volts from the battery. I guess that was like the cheapest one. Maybe that's not a good idea. It's usually never a good idea, but it said it was good for up to like 11-to-1 compression. Kind of what I have in here, if I remember, it was like 11-to-1 pistons. They have some other ones that are just a little bit more expensive. They're like good up to 14-to-1, so maybe this one just isn't strong enough. I'm just going to take it off and send it back. Let's go for a ride back to the other side. I think you guys can see better over there. All right, that's enough screwed on with the starter. That's 2 strikes on this Summit order. Wrong flywheel bolts and wrong starter. Well, the flywheel bolts were wrong. The starter was right. It just doesn't really work good enough. So we'll get something else. Let's get back to getting the bell housing and transmission back together. Let's see how much we can struggle with this. I got another jack handy, got the cross member over there. I think I'll try to set the transmission kind of on this jack to balance it while I try to get her all, lined up, figured out how it's going in and all that good stuff. It's not that heavy, but I'm trying to get it exactly into the little pilot bushing hole. Got part way into something. Told you it was going to be a struggle. Doesn't seem like it should be this hard. Alright, we'll be back once I get this all figured out here. Come on. Update. Sweat my ass off. Taking this out of here 2 or 3 times. I made sure the clutch tool will go in there. I can't get the damn transmission in. I can't for the life of me get that to go in there. I don't know why. Shouldn't be that hard. Clutch tool goes right in there. I had the clutch disc on the transmission shaft, so I know it's the right, this will go in there, but I know it's got the right number of splines because I had the clutch disc on the shaft. I had the pilot bushing on the shaft, so I know everything's the same. This will go in there, but I just can't get the transmission the last 3/4 of an inch to save my life. Trying to be gentle and get it lined up right. There's no place where it wants to cooperate. I've had less trouble doing this from underneath the car before. That's why I was like, I don't mind taking it back out to swap the bell housing. It's not that big a deal. Well, maybe it is. I can't even do it from up here. 1 step forward, 2 steps back. Story of my life. As you can see, I got the bell housing back off. I actually loosened up the flywheel. Or not the flywheel, the pressure plate. And just double. This would go in, but I had to kind of I could get it and I had to kind of, struggle. There was like a little tiny catch in it maybe, but I could get it to go in there. But now she goes in smooth as butter. So I'm tempted to try to put the transmission on there before putting the bell housing, but I think this was just a millimeter off or something. So we'll throw the bell housing back on there and then we'll fight with the transmission some more. Wish me luck. Here we go again. Alright, so there's the first part. This is where I got stuck at last time. Alright, well I guess redoing that didn't just make it go in smooth as butter. Because I'm pretty much at the same spot. With the same frickin' fight. What the crap? And that's gotta be just the distance of the pilot bushing that it won't go in. High tail shaft, low tail shaft. Alright. Anybody want to buy a 55? Some assembly required. And I'm not sure, impossible to assemble, maybe? Sweet mother of God, it finally went in there. Oh man. I don't want to tell you how long I've been fighting with this. I mean, I haven't been forever. Probably an hour. I guess I just told you. I don't know why I said I don't want to tell you. Probably because it should have took 5 minutes. Oh my gosh. Whew, I'm done worked up a sweat. I'm getting too old for this. But hey, I guess persistence paid off. I didn't even throw any wrenches. I was that close. Let's put some bolts in here. Get this transmission cross member back in, and then it'll look exactly the same as when we started this debacle. There'll be some goodies in here that weren't there before, but everything else is the same. 2 days later, and we're back to the same. All right, finally got that done. Got a clutch in there now. So I'm just gonna keep moving forward and then we will It was so easy to get that transmission in. I'll just drop it from underneath because the body will be on by then. It better be. Anyways, we'll have to do that again, but we're kind of making progress, even though we gotta, yeah, you know what I mean. We're probably gonna have to get a little bit longer drive shaft. And this is another casualty of the 3/4 forward motor mounts. Now, the reason I did that is because the way this was mounted before, I mean, my cap was right on the firewall. It would actually hit the firewall. So we're moving her forward to give me some more room there. This is kind of a stock setup here. This little clutch bar bolts to the bell housing. Again, the bell housing is going away to get a scatter shield, so I'm not gonna have the luxury of having these bolts anyways. So I just wanted to kind of get a feel for what was going on there, but what's going on there is that doesn't work. So what we got to do is that's got to be straightened out. How it is on the 57, and I haven't been able to find one of these, and it's really hard to kind of get in there and see because there's so much shit in the way. Looks like Gordy's got a little plate from this bolt hole to this bolt hole, and then I just got to put one of these here. What am I going to do with it? I actually got one. Did I show you guys already? Probably. Probably got the wrong one with the track record I've had the last few days of stuff, but this looked like it was kind of the right shape and whatnot. Watch you guys looking at the sky? What are you looking at? I don't know. So I got this guy, and hopefully that guy will go inside of this guy. It looks a little big all of a sudden. Way too big, so strike 3 on this summit order. So I got to find the right ball, because obviously that's not it. Let's see if I can scratch everything up. Build fab. Let's say fab, it makes me sound important. Fab up a little plate that'll go from here to here, the right distance out. Are you guys looking at the right stuff again? Put one of these guys that's the right one on there. Or maybe I can do some magic with the grinder. Should be better to find the right thing. You can buy this whole piece, so maybe I could buy this piece and then weld that to the other piece. I thought I was going to make the plate, screw that in, and be golden. Not so much. All right, well, that's plenty of struggling for this video. I got 3 parts to return, had a nice fight with the transmission, and we finally got where we were trying to get to. It just didn't work out as planned. Do you guys like this little further away selfie thing? I mean, I can get a little further yet, but my wife bought me one of these little arms. You guys can't see it, but there it's just like a little foldable, little extendable. I can get a little further away. Thanks for watching. Thanks for following along. I think we're down to 139 days till we don't get to go to Rocky Mountain Race Week. We hope we get to go to Rocky Mountain Race Week. I'm making a lot of progress, but progress is progress. In the next video, I'll probably be trying to fit my steering box back in, and then maybe seeing if my headers still fit. They may be a casualty of the 3/4 forward thing as well. And also with the car being a little lower, I won't know this till I get some more weight on with the body and everything, but with the car being lower, and the full length headers, they may be too close to the ground, I've heard. So I may have to go to like a shorty type header. I hope not. I got this steering stuff over here to get cleaned up, figure out what I need to purchase as far as tie rod ends and the drag link and whatever. There's the steering box itself. Sticking with just good old fashioned Armstrong steering. I'm strong enough to steer this thing. We're gonna get a new steering column, so we get rid of this shaft. So we cut that off at about 6 inches, then it'll need trimmed again once we get the column in there. But this, I showed this a long time ago, but this shaft is bent. But anyways, we don't need it. So that's what we're working on next. Moose found himself a new hidey hole here in the 57 that he's digging. So come back next time. Me and Moose will be out here struggling some more.